Pokemon is supposed to be a kid's franchise about friendship and adventure. So why is one of its best love stories about a traumatized shut-in and the girl who kept trying to break into his life? Why does their most romantic moment involve X attacking Y by crushing her face? And why does it work so damn well? Let's talk about X and Y, Pokemon's most brutal, most honest, and most earned love story and shipping pair. Before we get into the romance, we need to understand who X is, because unlike most Pokemon protagonists who are eager to jump into adventure, X is the complete opposite. X was a child prodigy, a battling genius who everyone had their eyes on, and I mean everyone. The paparazzi, the media, the public, they all wanted a piece of him. They hounded him, pressured him, followed his every move until he broke. X became a shut-in. He locked himself in his room and refused to come out, convinced that he had nothing. No goals, no dreams, no reason to face the world that had already taken everything from him. As his popularity had put his Pokemon in danger, and as he had refused to put anyone else in that position, the only option for him was to stay away from everyone. For years, his friends tried to get him to come outside. They'd invite him to things, try to coax him out, but one by one they started to give up. They had their own dreams to chase, their own lives to live. All of them gave up except one. Y, his childhood best friend. And Y? She didn't just try to get him out, she refused to let him disappear. She'd show up with all kinds of new things to tempt him outside. She'd literally try to destroy his window frames just to force interaction. And when none of that worked, she just kept showing up anyways. All the while pursuing her own dream of becoming a Sky trainer. And it's poetic because she never stopped trying to reach him, just like how she never tried to stop reaching for the sky. Or at least that's what I think. I don't know, I think it's symbolic. And here's the thing, it's not like X didn't care about her. He did. He cared a lot actually. He trusted Y more than anyone, and she trusted him right back. When the two were kids, X was full of life and energy, and Y was the more shy and reserved one. X moved into the neighborhood and saw Y be forced to train with her mom in Rhyhorn racing. Seeing Y be upset and disinterested in this, X tries to understand her situation when Rhyhorn goes out of control, and X and his Kangaskhan are forced to stop it. You can see the glow in Y's eyes from seeing X's skills, and as she's admiring it, X tells her to find something she enjoys. To find something she can proudly tell the world. And the two become friends. And for Y, X was probably the main source of inspiration for her to become a Sky trainer. So in a way, her always being on his case in terms of getting him out of this rut is her trying to save his life. Because in a way, he was the one who saved hers. But X's trauma runs so deep that even her persistence isn't enough to pull him out of that room. Not yet anyway. When Team Flare attacks Vanderbilt Town, X's house gets destroyed. Y's mom goes missing, and suddenly the choice of whether to face the outside world is taken from him entirely, as he's forced to deal with it head on. He's thrust into a journey that he never wanted, alongside Y and their friends, running for the lives from an organization that wants to literally end the world. And this is where we start to see what X and Y's relationship is really about. In most Pokemon love stories, romance is about blushing and hand-holding, and maybe a confession if we're lucky. But for X and Y, love is about not getting unalived. Love is about survival, and every moment between them is a test of how much they trust each other in a world that keeps trying to end them. At the start of their journey, X and Y are at an inn when Team Flare attacks them for X's Mega Ring and Mega Stone. And X immediately starts spiraling, blaming himself for putting everyone in danger, because that's what X does. He's quick to take responsibility for every bad thing that happens to people around him. It's part of his trauma. And Y doesn't comfort him with soft words or gentle reassurance. She tells him to pull himself together, to stop putting himself down so easily for one mishap. She demands that he trust himself because their lives are literally dependent on it. Y doesn't coddle X's trauma. She pushes him through it because that's what he needs. That's what they need to survive. When the opportunity arises though, X and Y do have more sweet and subtle moments of love and bonding. Well, actually it's mainly X who provides this, since he's the more gentle one most of the time anyways. Like when Y catches her Eevee and starts to bond with it, X is the one who helps her get to know Eevee better. And he helps the two become a team. And though X is always cooped up in his tent, he closely monitors their progress and is happy to see things evolve between them, and even steps out of his tent just to support her. Yeah, they're attacked soon after, but X knows Y is capable enough to handle it when the rest of the team has doubts, and he remains proud of her as her and Sylveon defeat Team Flare together. As the X and Y series is much shorter than the rest of the Adventure series, X and Y shipping moments are rare, but when they appear, they're very memorable. One of the most memorable scenes in this regard is the helicopter scene. Y is sky battling during her thing as a sky trainer against her mind-controlled schoolmates who used to bully her. I know, that's a lot to manage at once, but while she's doing all of that, their friend Cassius casually mentions to X that he hopes that they'll find his girlfriend's mom. X immediately denies it, but denies it a bit too harshly. Classic, right? But right after this, Y gets hit by a falling propeller and crashes. Yeah, as if she didn't have enough to handle already. And X nearly jumps out of the helicopter to search for her, no hesitation. Tierno has to physically hold him back to stop him from falling to his death. When they finally crash land, the first thing X says is that he wants to go look for her as soon as they can. Note that at this point in the story, they befriended Clement, and this guy was sent flying by a bunch of Esper that he messed with, and literally no one knows where he is. And X was not this passionate about finding him, so that should say a lot. As the leader of the group, Y is the one that holds the friend group together, and without her, they're kinda lost, so I guess it makes sense that they run after her, especially because Y has a set of rules called the 5 don'ts. 5 things no one in the group should do so that the friend group remains safe and sound, and one of these don'ts is that they shouldn't split apart from each other. So when X goes off on his own to face Lysander, you can imagine how upset Y really is. But she's a little too upset just for that, don't you think? But you know what we've yet to talk about? A game that you'll definitely be interested in called Yami Kids. This video is sponsored by Yami Kids, a monster taming RPG where you have to uncover the mystery of the people who unalived you and your sibling. Time has been reversed, allowing only one of you to survive and solve this mystery using the help of the Oni, which you can catch, collect, and battle with. And trust me, the story is way darker than you'd expect. Their first demo just launched and it's built on the same engine as Dokemon Quest, using the latest version of Mon Tamer Maker. So if you like Dokemon, this is basically the next evolution of that style of game. Gameplay wise, it's a full monster tamer RPG. There are 80 plus Oni to collect, and there's this really cool mechanic called Shadow Duels. If you lose, you're literally sent to the underworld, and you have to fight your way back to the real world. It's such a sick twist on the usual blackout and respawn system. There's also the Hollow Center, which works like a healing hub, but with battle towers and dungeon-style challenges for extra rewards. The full game is aiming for a 10 to 15 hour story, maybe even 20, drawing inspiration from stuff like Shin Megami Tensei, Demon Kids, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's launching later this year for $15 with a launch discount planned. If that sounds like your kind of game, the demo is out right now, so check it out through the link in the description and wishlist if you like what you see. Big thanks to Yami Kids for sponsoring this video. Anyways, X botches his whole battle with Lysander and expects a major scolding from Y, but is surprised when Y doesn't really say anything. In fact, X is so silent about the whole thing that Y speaks up and says that she was mad enough to slap him, but she's gonna keep her emotions aside for the betterment of the team and the mission, and tells him that she's only as blunt and caring as she is now because she learned to be clear about what she cares for from X when they first met as kids, which leads X to blush and even apologize to her. The two have many other moments that are often unspoken about. For example, when the two are off to catch new team members and X tries to get Pinsir on his team, X seems a bit worried and asks everyone to head back as he catches Pinsir, but Y teasingly pushes him forward, only to see the most embarrassing attempt of a capture that she or anyone else has ever seen. Because despite how skilled X is at battling, he's never ever caught a Pokemon before. He's only ever talked him into joining his team like he's Naruto. And this is something he didn't want anyone to see, including her, which is pretty funny to me. Later on, the two chase Essentia, who's been working with Team Flare, and in this, X and Y end up getting separated. Y and Essentia fight, but Essentia manages to escape, and through the programs in her suit, she's able to disguise herself as Nurse Joy and get the advantage on her. We later see X and Y reunite, but X realizes that something is amiss, and quickly gets his Pinsir to threaten Y's neck. Within a few seconds, he knows it's not her, but by prying about their 5 don'ts and gauging her mannerisms, he becomes entirely certain it's not her and gets Pinsir to go for her head. And of course, it turned out to be Essentia. Essentia also thought they were a couple because when she was disguised as Y, she called X dear, but X wasn't having that. Maybe in the future he'll warm up to it though. In this fight against Essentia and throughout the series, you see that the two make a fantastic team. X with his exceptional tactics and battle instincts, and Y with their initiative, focus, and strength. They complement each other perfectly. This is demonstrated even further when everyone is rendered unconscious by Xerosic and X is forced to use Y's newly evolved Greninja to fight Xerosic on his own, and also do a bit of aura farming. Despite Croaky not being X's own Pokemon, this was his first battle as a Greninja and X was able to command it incredibly well. And Croaky was able to take instructions from him because of Y's bond with X. And at the very end of the series, X is able to reflect on his life and tell Essentia, or Emma, that because of this journey, he realized that he had everything he ever needed. He had a house, he had food, he had Pokemon, he had his friends, and he had her. It's something that he never realized until he was forced to leave his house because of this adventure, and in many ways, he has Y to thank for this realization. Even after the final battle, they have a few sweet moments, such as when they fight AZ and X rushes to knock her out of harm's way. And you know, with any other protagonists, maybe they would have done this for anyone, but as we established with Clement earlier, this may have been a special act of service for Y. And before we get to the epilogue, we have to talk about this sweet ending, because after everything that the kids have to go through with Team Flare and Lysander, they manage to make it back to their homes and families in Vanderbilt Town, and X not only gets his house back, but he also gets his smile and spark back, and he thanks Y's Rhyhorn for housing his tent all this while. And when Y sees this, she gets really happy to see his growth. And when he thanks her for everything, she can't help but tease him a little more, causing him to blush and even get more flustered. Now, people may argue that this isn't a canonical couple, but I think all the signs point towards them eventually ending up together, similar to Ruby and Sapphire and Black and White. Y even stands with Garukin and Karina during X's Mega Evolution succession, which, by the way, if you want to learn more about X, you can check out this video, and if you want to learn more about Emma and her father, we have a video coming up real soon, so be sure to subscribe to check that out. But yeah, Y is in a really special spot in this ceremony, and more than that, in the epilogue, Trevor calls X and we find out that these two are together in the same place in Shadowlord City when all of their friends are elsewhere. Could they just be with Karina? Maybe, but if they were, Karina probably would have hopped on call to say hi to Trevor too, so what gives? I ain't buying it. These two ain't just neighbors anymore, man. They're lovers who pushed each other to grow and saw the best in each other. And if you want to fight me on it, yeah, just argue away in my comment section so that my video does better. Thanks!